What's up, everybody? Celtic Scarecrow here, back with everybody get those 10s and 20 views. It's Saturday. Last week I did the NFC South. Way too effing early NFL predictions. And no, that video did. Sorry, hair in my tongue. Kind of got a lot of it. That video actually did surprisingly decent for me. So I figured, you know what? Let's continue on. As you see above me, I have the AFC South. So it'll be the way too effing early AFC South predictions. Same as last week, I'm going to go based off what their schedule is and what little information I have about them. I'm going to do what I think their best record's going to be and what their worst record's going to be. And unlike last week, I did not do a pre-guess on anybody. That means whenever I say it's to hopefully it's helping me keep better track of the predictions. I'll have to fix that later. And so we are going to start off with Houston. I know they're there. It's just the way I set it up. So let's move over to Houston. Houston starting off. We always go best then worst. So always has been, and my camera's been acting up. I think my camera moved. Ghost. But starting off, best case scenario, yeah, the Colts don't have their quarterback. It's going to be a win there. So that's versus the Bears. I think that would be a win there in best case scenario. Vikings. Yeah, best case scenario, they don't have the quarterback. Jags. I'm not too sure on the Jags, so that's 4-0 starting off the season. Wow, that's best case scenario. 5-0 against Buffalo. We don't know what Buffalo has, so best case scenario, they have nothing. They lost so much, they lost everything. Went against New England. There. At Green Bay. You know what? Let's give them that. Make that a loss. I know it's like it's at Lambeau. It's there, and most teams don't go undefeated. Best case scenario, they more or less sweep the Colts. Best case scenario, the Jets aren't doing that good. Okay, lose to the Lions. Probably beat the Cowboys. Beat Tennessee. Beat Jacksonville. They'll just sweep the division in the best case scenario. Ooh, Miami. I think they have a better defense. Let's give them that one. Week 16 against KC. You know what? The loss against KC. Ooh, a loss against Baltimore. And a win against the Titans to round out the season. So if I did my math right, that should either put them at 13 or 14 wins. I'm going to write down 13. Am I doing it right? It means they would be 13-4 or 14-3, which is a amazing record in a best case scenario. That would easily put them in the playoffs. That probably locks them down for like the number one seed, which would be great because that means everyone has to go to you. You don't have to go to Kansas City in the super cold. But in a worst case scenario situation, CJ Stroud had a great rookie year, and everybody now knows what the plan for them. That defense does not play the same level as last year. And Stephon Diggs becomes a huge nightmare. So in a worst case situation, Anthony Richardson is the guy. I still think they beat the Colts. I still think they beat the Bears. In those first two games, I still think in a worst case scenario, even with all that, I still like them against them. Minnesota has a really good defense, and saying their quarterback wins, so that's a loss there. Even in a worst case scenario, I think they split with Jacksonville in a worst case, so I'm going to give them a win there. lost against Buffalo because Buffalo has it all figured out and they knew what they were doing all along. New England, I don't think they know what they're doing, so it's a win there. Lost to Green Bay. Let's say uh, split with the Colts, so lost here. In the worst case scenario. Worst case scenario, the Jets know what they're doing. That's a loss. No, wait, go back. Colts, we'll give them a win there. I don't have faith in the Colts this year. Sorry, Colts. Jets, oh, okay, back. Moving on to the Jets. Worst case scenario, Aaron Rodgers is kicking ass and taking names. Therefore, there is a loss there. Lions. I have them as my way to effing early Super Bowl contenders. So there's a loss there. Loss to the Cowboys. Probably split with Tennessee, so you're at home. We'll give you the win that time. You split with Jacksonville, so it's there, so you lose that. Lose to the Dolphins. Lose to them. Wow. And they win. And a loss there. So in a worst case scenario, I have them at roughly 5-11. That would be a major step back. Everyone will kind of question everything about this team. Was last year a fluke? Is CJ Stroud just like that flash in the pan? Who knows? Personally, I have them on a realistic scale of somewhere between 8 and 10 wins this year. That would probably be the realism thing of like, yeah, they're probably 8 to 10 wins. As you might blanket the whole time. But yeah, and realistic scale, yeah, I'd say 8 to 10 wins will probably be the right answer. And you'll probably still win division. I'll get to that later. Moving on. We are going with. Let's get the right page. The Colts. The best case scenario for the Colts will always think this. They got the right coach. Anthony Richardson can stay healthy and is a top tier quarterback. And that defense kind of works out in the ways that it all works out. That being said, let's get to it. In a best case scenario, I think they split with Houston. And because this is a home game, they'll win this one. Versus Green Bay, I have Green Bay as a playoff team. So even in a best case scenario, I think that's a loss. I don't think the Bears improve that much. So win there. Steelers. Best case scenario, they don't know what they're doing. There's a win. Best case scenario, you split with Jacksonville. So you're playing them at Jacksonville, so lost there. Best case scenario, the Titans don't know what they're doing either, so that is a win there. You probably sweep them. Loss against Miami. Loss against Houston. Win against the Vikings, though. Best case scenario, the Vikings aren't good. Best case scenario, the Bills aren't that good, so that is a win there. And the best case scenario, the Aaron Rodgers is not doing good, so there is a win there. And the reason why I keep saying that is because, at least especially with, these three teams, Minnesota, Buffalo, and the Jets looked god-awful once Rodgers got hurt. Buffalo got rid of so much. And Minnesota kind of lost Kirk Cousins, so they're with a rookie quarterback. So that's why I give those teams leeway. Lost to the Lions. I think, like I said, Lions are up there as like my top tier teams. You beat New England. You beat Denver. You're at home, so you beat the Titans. And you beat the Giants. And I said you split with Jacksonville, so you win there. So that should have you right around 12 wins if I got my math right. Which is a great thing. It's one less than the Titans' highest win percentage there, so that's always good. And that would probably put you in the playoff spot, maybe even like top two, top three seed, which at least gets you a good first home game. But of course, if we do the best, we gotta do the worst. So going off the worst case scenario, Houston is legit. They are really good, so you get swept by Houston. So you'll lose there. You'll lose to Green Bay. I have no faith in the Bears, and this team is about a push, so I'm still having you lose to the Bears. It's one of those things where I think the Colts and the Bears are about the same spot. That's why I have it as a loss there. Lose to the Steelers. You're going to hear this word a lot. Lose to Jacksonville. Now, they're not a bad team. They almost made the playoff. Split with Tennessee, but it's at there, so you lose to them. I like Will Levis, but they did lose a lot, so you split there. So there's your first win. Lose to the Dolphins. Get swept by the Texans. In a worst case scenario, who they draft? The kid out of Michigan. Yeah, he's legit. You lose to the Vikings. Buffalo knows what they were doing, and you lose to them. They're still good. Aaron Rodgers is running rough shot, so you lose there. I had losing lines. You beat New England. I have New England as my bottom 5 team throughout the year. Bo Nix actually is legit. You lose to them. You beat the Titans. I like the Colts defense slightly better, so I'll give you that win. And then you lose to Jacksonville. Unfortunately, that only brings your wins up to 4. 4-13 is a really bad bottom number. It is ugly. It is terrifying. So your high being 12-5 and low being 4-13, which is just one loss, one win difference between the Texans. So realistically, I probably have you guys around 6 to 8 wins. 500 team. It really all depends. Can Anthony Richardson stay healthy? And as of right now, he cannot. He has not proven that he is a top-tier quarterback. He has not proven that he can stay healthy. And that's the only reason why I am not high on him, is he didn't stay healthy. Yeah, he's a freak athlete. And I watched Cam, another freak athlete, not make it 10 years. This guy didn't get through his rookie season. So, moving on to... Gotta get it all lined up again. My favorite redesigned team logo, which I have to adjust, the Jacksonville Jaguars. I love my redesign of the Jaguars. Actually, I love my redesign of the Jags and the Texans. I think both teams make way more sense design how I have them drawn compared to the way they did it. I'm sorry, you have one of the best colors in football and you don't use it. Shame. And Texans, I literally made the Texas State flag in your logo. So, all right, best case scenario for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence keeps moving forward. That offense keeps clicking. That defense stays roughly pat. So in the best case scenario, though, I still have you losing to the Dolphins. I like the Dolphins. Sorry, but you beat the Browns. I have no faith in Deshaun Watson. Gotta make sure we're in the next spot. Best case scenario, you do beat the Bills. And you probably split with Houston in the best case scenario. But because this one's at Houston, you lose this one. Best case scenario, the Colts aren't that good, so you probably sweep them. That's a win there. Moving on to Chicago. I think another win there. Like I said, I think Chicago's going to be drafting top 5 again. Same with New England. I think they'll probably be drafting top 5 again next year. Maybe even top 2. So that's a win there. You know what? You got Green Bay at Jacksonville. So that is a win there. Unfortunately, I do think the Eagles are still really good. And it's going to be but I don't think their season's going to last. That's a loss there. Best case scenario, the Vikings don't have the right quarterback, so that is a win there. Against the Lions, not so much. Said you, I think in the best case scenario, you split with Houston, so you play them there. You sweep the Titans, so that's a win there. You beat the Jets. Wow, this is a really good back half to schedule for you. This is a favorable back half to schedule. You beat the Raiders, you beat the Titans, and you beat the Colts, which should, if my math is correct, put you at 13 wins, making you 13-4, same as Houston. Like I said, that back half of the schedule is very favorable. You have, let's see, it's coming off this bye week. Right? You're coming off the bye against Houston, so you're coming off the bye. And you play, and you're at home, so that's a great there. Tennessee, the Jets, the Raiders, Tennessee again, and the Colts. That is a very, very favorable back half of the season. Now to the worst case scenario, and I have a feeling this number is going to be slightly low. So you start off season, you'll lose to the Dolphins. I had you losing in best case scenario. The Browns take a step forward, so you lose there. Buffalo knows what they're doing. That's the second loss. You get swept by the the Texans. So that's a loss there. Worst case scenario, you probably split with the Colts. So you play them at home, so that's a win there. I like you guys better than the Bears. Like you better than New England. Lose to Green Bay. Lose to Philly. Lose to Minnesota. They have their things together. Lose to Detroit. I had that happen regardless. Get swept by the Texans. Lose at Tennessee. Lose to the Jets. Probably beat the Raiders. Beat the Raiders. Get swept by Tennessee, and then lose to the Colts. So, in the worst case scenario, I also have you at roughly 4 wins and 13 losses. It's one of those things. Is Trevor Lawrence a legit top-tier quarterback? That is the great question mark. Is that defense getting better? And what kind of weapons you have? You had Calvin Ridley last year, and you didn't really do nothing. Now, back to like everything else, I probably have you guys, much like the Colts, around that 7 to like that 6 to 8 win range. Like 7 to 9, 6 to 9, somewhere in that range. I think you'll probably be a 500 team. I think this division probably kills itself, is the worst way I can say this, or cannibalizes itself, because outside of Houston, I don't see like either team, anybody sweeping anybody else. It'll just be like win at home, lose on the road. Also, like I said, 3 of these 4 teams, I really like my own redesign. The Colts, I can't really do much for them. Moving on to the final team of this division. And I wish we'd have to go hunt down the logo because I'm not doing this post-edit. The Tennessee Titans. Tennessee Titans. I like your quarterback. I kind of was like in favor of Carolina trying to get him the second round or whatnot. So, in a best case scenario, you start off at the Bears and you hand Justin Fields his first loss. That is a win for the Titans. Moving on to you got Aaron Rodgers and the Jets in a best case scenario. That is a very winnable game. Versus Green Bay. Winnable, so it's a best case scenario, so I'll give it to you. Like, I think you're probably about the same as Green Bay. But, so there's that. Dolphins, sorry, you're not beating the Dolphins. In the best case scenario, you're sweeping the Colts, so that's a nice win there. Buffalo doesn't know what they're doing, so that's another win there. Lose to the Lions. but you beat New England. Best case scenario, the Chargers don't have it figured out this season, so as a win. Same with the Vikings, so another nice victory. Lose to the Texans at Texas. Even in best case scenario, I don't think you're splitting. You beat the Commies because their quarterback situation is not situated, and then you beat Jacksonville. Best case, lose to the Bengals, but beat the Colts, beat the Jags. That last game. No, you got split there. So that should put you guys right around 12 wins. I gotta write that down so I can put it in the machine later. That puts you guys at roughly 12-5. Not a super tough schedule. A couple of hard games sprinkled in, but I think a lot of it is very, very winnable. Unfortunately, we have to do the worst case scenario, and that worst case scenario is you can't protect your quarterback. Will Levis is still struggling a lot. So worst case scenario, you lose to the Bears. I think this is going to come up a lot. You lose to the Bears because, your team didn't look that great. So, know what? Yeah, you lose to the Bears. Aaron Rodgers is on his revenge tour, so he's kicking ass and taking in. There is a loss. I had the Green Bay as a coin flip in the best case scenario, so you have to take the loss here. Lose to the Dolphins. In a worst case scenario, you probably split with the Colts, so that is a win. This is the home game. Lose to Buffalo. Lose to the Lions. Beat New England. Like I said, I have New England as a top 5 draft pick team next year. Tennessee, just outside the top 10, probably. So lose to the Chargers because Harbaugh has everything figured out. Lose to the Vikings because they just replaced Kirk Cousins with a better quarterback. Lose to the Texans. Lose to the Commies because their quarterback situation actually is pretty decent. So let's go there. Worst case scenario, you split with Jacksonville, so this is the home game, so that is a win. Lose to the Bengals. Well, this one's on the road, so you lose to the Colts, lose to the Jags, lose to the Texans. That puts you guys at a unfortunate 3 wins, which is the lowest of all the worst case situations. Basically, it's your worst case scenario is Will Levis is a bust, and everyone was right to their evaluation of him. You lost Derrick Henry, and that is an ungodly, heart wrench to the team. Why, oh God, get rid of him? But in reality, I like the rest of the division. I actually have you guys somewhere in that 6 to 9 win ratio. I really don't see that much of a difference between the Colts, the Jags, and the Titans. It's one of the things of, do the Titans have their quarterback? Do the Colts have their quarterback? Can Trevor Lawrence keep moving up the trajectory? That's those 3 teams. And in Houston, it's, hey, we won this division with a rookie head coach and a rookie quarterback. We should only be improving. And that means I'm giving the crown to the Houston Texans as my kings of the AFC South. That's it. That's all I have. Tell me what you think. Next week I will be heading in the compass direction to, let's go AFC West. I'll alternate. So AFC West, you are up next Saturday. Until then, I'll see you weird people later.